Transmite en su canal de frecuencia modulada estereofónica multiplex La Voz Radio, desde New Haven, Connecticut, al mundo.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Caprice Méndez, aquí con Juntos Podemos, Together We Can. Good afternoon. My name is Caprice Méndez, and as always, do not turn that dial when you hear Spanish here in Together We Can, where we celebrate co-creators of a kinder and more just world. You're listening to La Voz Hispana de Connecticut on 103.5 FM here in New Haven, Connecticut. Están escuchando La Voz Hispana y pueden ver también una grabación del programa de hoy por nuestra página de Facebook, en Facebook Video en Vivo. Juntos Podemos, aquí celebramos co-creadores de un mundo más justo y más gentil. Y es un gran placer estar aquí con ustedes hoy. Vamos a hablar un poco, vamos a compartir un poco de la magia de la unión en comunidad tan diversa que la que se encuentra en Connecticut, luchando para cambiar el presupuesto del estado de Connecticut para los próximos años, que 2,000 personas se reunieron enfrente de la Casa Estatal el 18 de mayo, luchando, manifestando para que haya un presupuesto moral. Para ver esos videos y más, pueden entrar en nuestra página de Facebook en La Voz Hispana de Connecticut. Here we are going to have the privilege of sharing with you a massive manifestation. In Spanish is the word, and in English we often say rally, protest, but I love the term manifestation for rally and protest. It is calling into the universe, into the air that we breathe, what it is that we want to see, a vision of our reality in this world. And I was there next to the stage on May 18th with over 2,000 individuals, very diverse community members from all parts of Connecticut, from all sectors of Connecticut, saying we need a moral budget now. In the state deliberations that are taking place as we speak. And so without further ado, I'll let the speakers of May 18th share the words of wisdom that we hope the elected officials will hear loud and clear through the halls of our state capitol in Hartford. For those who are listening to Together We Can, Juntos Podemos, I don't believe in the sterile lack of opinion, lack of an agenda that many people believe media plays. There is no sterile, there is always an underlying agenda, always an underlying opinion. And Juntos Podemos, Together We Can, it is clear where we stand with La Voz Hispana de Connecticut, sharing with you information that supports uplifting the work and the voices of those who are working towards a kinder and more just world. And so without further ado, love to introduce you to the director of Recovery for All, the lead coalition working towards the collective people power to make their concerns up front and center in our state capital. Recovery for All Director Puya Jerami is the one speaking now. Vamos a introducir el director de Recuperación para Todos, una coalición a nivel estatal colaborando con varios grupos por todo de Connecticut. Aquí está Puya Jerami.
And now we're facing the threat of more layoffs and tuition hikes. I know for a fact there are folks in this crowd whose loved ones, they're not getting the mental health care that they need, and meanwhile the state is closing. They say, oh, actually we forgot to tell you, we got the spending cap. Even when there's a multi-billion-dollar surplus, the people have to keep suffering. Let's be real, folks. Every one of these things, there's no money. Tax the wealthy, they're gonna leave. Oh, we can't invest in your communities because of the spending cap. Each and every one of these, it's an excuse. Each and every one of these, it's a lie. Straight up. Straight up, they're lying to us. Each and every one of these things, it's a denial of our reality. They're telling us that the struggles that we're facing aren't real. But now something extraordinary is happening. It's happening right now. Look around you. I want everyone to think about, everyone in this crowd, think about what you went through over the last couple years of this pandemic. I want you to think about it. I want you to think about what your family went through, your kids, your loved ones, your neighbors, your coworkers. Think about it. Nightmare, right? But this nightmare, it's changing us as a people. Y'all understand what I'm saying? This nightmare changes us as a people. It binds us together as a people. And now, as we come out of this pandemic, we're gathering here today to declare a new era in Connecticut. Are you with me? It's May 17th, 2023. It's 6:32, and right now, the new era is starting right now. That's
And now for the translation in Spanish, Puya, el director de Recuperación para Todos, acaba de decir, aquí estamos porque existe un exceso de fondos en el estado de Connecticut para poder apoyar la recuperación para todos. Nos falta recursos para asistencia mental, servicios de salud mental en el estado. Han suspendido dinero también para dinero necesario para una recuperación. Y esto existe, momentos difíciles existen por mentiras. Echan excusas cuando uno pide para fondos para los servicios necesarios de la comunidad. Dicen no se puede aumentar los impuestos porque los ricos se van a huir del Estado. Eso es una mentira. No hay dinero por el tope de gastos, legislación, un proceso legislativo que limita lo que uno gasta en el Estado, y dice también Puma, eso es una gran mentira. También quieren de una vez ignorar los problemas que existen en el estado de Connecticut, y en este momento la gente, el pueblo, las comunidades de Connecticut están pasando por un momento muy extraordinario. En este año, en estos pasados años, estábamos en una pandemia con gran sufrimiento, fue y sigue siendo una gran pesadilla. Pero esta gran pesadilla transformó a Connecticut. El 18 de mayo a las 6:32 p.m. dice Puya, en este momento estamos declarando una nueva era para Connecticut. Nomás tienen que abrir los ojos, ver a quién está al lado suyo, a la par suya. Esta es la nueva era de Connecticut.
Every single living soul is valued, respected, dignified. Because our vision is based on love, true love. We say love our neighbor, we actually love our neighbors. We actually love our neighbors, and we love our neighbors so much that we're joining together, we're getting organized, we're gonna fight for every single one of our neighbors, and we're never gonna give up. And to anyone in power who stands in our way, we are here to put you on notice today. Because we, the people, we're getting organized. And if you stand in our way, we're going to strike you. All right, listen to me. This is what I'm saying. Bosses who don't want to give us the respect and dignity that we deserve, well, we're going to get together and we're going to strike you at the workplace. Corporate landlords, you want to jack up our rents? You want to kick us out of our homes? Well, we're going to get together and we're going to strike you in our neighborhoods. Lawmakers, any elected official in this building who doesn't stand with the people, we're going to strike you at the ballot box. Because this is the new era. The days of asking are over. The days of waiting are over. And so today we call on the legislature, most of all we call on Governor Lamont. Pass a moral budget now, and if you don't, you will have to answer to us.
Julia, sigues diciendo, en este momento están haciendo una nueva era para nuestra comunidad aquí en Connecticut, uno donde las personas son valoradas, son respetadas y se trata con dignidad, basado en el amor al prójimo. Y nosotros amamos a nuestros vecinos, pero de verdad. Los queremos mucho y por esa razón estamos movilizando nuestras comunidades. Estamos listos para luchar para nuestros vecinos. Y los quienes están en poder, la comunidad unida los va a mantener con accountabilidad. Los jefes, quienes faltan respeto a los trabajadores, ahora tienen que notar, va a haber huelga en los trabajos. Las corporaciones, dueños de viviendas, va a haber huelga en lugares de vivienda. Los legisladores, va a haber huelga en las elecciones. La hora de espera ha terminado, dice Puya. Ahora queremos llamar la atención a los legisladores, pero especialmente al gobernador. Queremos un presupuesto moral que apoya a la comunidad, dice el director de Recuperación para Todos, Recovery for All, Puya.
Wade.
When we fight, when we fight, when we
Now
fight,
we're going to
when we
listen to
fight.
Pastor
I know
Rodney
that's
Wade.
right.
Ahora vamos a escuchar la voz de Pastor Rodney Wade, un pastor.
I have been troubled by the direction of this governor and some of the legislators. They talk a good game about understanding the needs of the people, but too often the policies that they push do more to satisfy the longings of Wall Street and our corporate entities, and they fail to meet the needs of everyday people like you and I. It doesn't matter if we're talking about long-term care workers, poorers, the working poor, rent caps, husky insurance, critical mental health services, public schools, higher education. The refrain that comes from this building is maybe next year. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of hearing about maybe next year. So I'm troubled. I'm troubled in the state where we have a $3 billion surplus to really do some good and impact the lives of real people. The governor, and it pains me to say, the Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter, they would rather talk about it than be about it. But we need some leaders who don't just want to talk about it, but they want to be about it. Mr. Speaker, I thought you was a champion for the people. You stood in front of the cameras a few weeks back and made encouraging statements that all of us who are gathered here today expect you to keep. And the question is, will your legacy be one of legends or just another sad commentary about a politician who talked but did not walk the walk? Now is not the time to cave in. Now is not the time to stand with the governor, but to stand tall and fight for a budget that supports our equity agenda.
El pastor está diciendo, me preocupa la dirección de este gobernador y algunos legisladores. Ellos están priorizando lo que desean los ricos y las corporaciones. Cuando uno está pidiendo lo necesario para sobrevivir, para los laboradores de bajo ingreso, los trabajadores de bajo ingreso, cuando estamos pidiendo para seguro médico para los inmigrantes, detrás de Husky para inmigrantes, cuando se está pidiendo fondos para las escuelas públicas, cuando se pide fondos para la educación en las universidades y aquí en Connecticut, nos están diciendo tal vez el próximo año. ¿Cómo nos puede decir eso los legisladores cuando existe 3 billones en exceso de fondos? Al gobernador Matt Ritter, al gobernador y la atención de Matt Ritter, el orador de la Casa Estatal. Ustedes nomás hablan sin tomar acción. Queremos líderes que tomen acción. Algunas semanas atrás, el orador de la Casa, Matt Ritter, estuvo aquí diciendo que él está al lado de la comunidad, de la gente, del pueblo, pero es nomás palabras sin acción. ¿Cuál va a ser tu legacía? Si quieres ser en la historia una persona que nomás habla sin tomar acción, ahora es el momento para crear un presupuesto moral para que exista equidad aquí en Connecticut.
In the darkest days of the pandemic, where our members went to work without PPE, they took the risks. They did everything that was asked of them. They became ill. They held the hands of the sick. They held the hands of the dying. They brought the virus home to their families in far too many cases. The pandemic, as we know, was not visited on all of us equally. It was a disease that attacked the poor. It attacked the working class. It attacked the caregivers, the women, black, brown, white working class were those who suffered the most. And while so many elected officials, so many leaders and politicians may think that the pandemic is over, for the essential workers who we talked about so much, who we gave so much lip service to, it is still going. It is still going. Why do I say that? Long-term care workers, people working at poverty level wages in group homes, in home care, in nursing homes, so many of them with poor health insurance still carrying thousands upon thousands of dollars of medical debt when they did nothing wrong other than show up to work. Our state has the ability to end poverty for caregivers. They can legislate a middle class wage for caregivers. And so far, what we have heard is what they're willing to put in workers' paychecks is pennies. Nothing more than pennies. I say that when we have a system that pays caregivers, long-term care workers so little that they're sleeping in their cars, that they're living in motels, that they're couch surfing, that we have something that is dangerously wrong with our system. I'd like to ask two of our caregivers to come up to the mic and say just a few words about the struggle that we're in. Starting with Linnea Moore, who works at Oak Hill School, where we have just conducted strike votes together with 1,700 workers at 6 different agencies. They're ready to strike if we need to next Wednesday, because we must end poverty for long-term care workers.
Vamos a poner una pausa en este momento para que yo pueda traducir. El señor que está hablando, el nombre de él es Rob Burrell, del sindicato 1199. The voice that we just heard, powerful voice, powerful words, were from Rob Burrell of Local 1199, SEIU 1199. And now translate in Spanish, el señor Rob Burrell dice, en el momento de la pandemia había muchos trabajadores de bajo ingreso trabajando, cuidando a nuestros seres queridos durante la pandemia. Gente se estaba cuidando en su hogar, pero los trabajadores de bajo ingreso apoyando al cuidado de nuestros seres queridos, inclusive todos de los que dependen en cuidado a largo plazo. Esos trabajadores están trabajando sin protección. Las máscaras no tenían suficientes fondos para comprarse protección contra el virus COVID. Y también sabemos los trabajadores de bajo ingreso apoyando a poblaciones vulnerables de largo plazo. Los trabajadores sufrieron más. Atacó este virus más a la gente pobre, más a los trabajadores, los quienes cuidan a personas de largo plazo. Atacó también a latinos, a negros y trabajadores blancos de bajo ingreso. Este virus afectó más a las personas más vulnerables en nuestra sociedad. Muchos de los trabajadores que cuidan a largo plazo a nuestros seres queridos tienen miles de dólares de gastos médicos que todavía aún no han podido pagar. Ellos no hicieron mal, nada mal, pero igual están pagando un alto precio en hacer su trabajo, en cuidar a nuestra gente. El gobierno estatal en Connecticut ofreció pocos fondos en apoyar los trabajadores de largo plazo, cuidando a nuestros seres queridos, ni han podido alcanzar ingreso a clase media. Muchos de ellos están viviendo en sus autos. Muchos de ellos están luchando para poder sobrevivir en este momento. El crisis no ha terminado para nuestra gente que nos estaba cuidando durante la pandemia. Ya estamos listos para hasta más grande manifestación. Si es necesario, 1,700 trabajadores de 16 diferentes agencias están listos para una huelga. Si el presupuesto no es un presupuesto moral. En este momento vamos a escuchar directamente de una de las trabajadoras de largo plazo, cuidado de largo plazo, la señora Moore.
Well, I have worked with people with disabilities for over 30 years, and I don't recognize this field anymore. It's very sad. We have staff that are struggling, stressed. They're working 2 or 3 jobs. We are working 20, 30, 40, 50 hours of overtime a week. I am going on almost 48 hours up. I was mandated last night. I'm almost 60 years old. I'm tired. But most of all, we feel we're unappreciated, we're underpaid, we're overworked. But the sad thing is, and I work in a house that's high behavioral, it is a nightmare. And that's a word that's been used by me, my supervisor. We have parents that are crying, staff that are crying because they are so overworked. Okay? And they just want a fair wage, fair insurance, and just to be told that they're appreciated and not just a token gesture. So this is all new to me as a union person, but whatever it gets to get our guys who are suffering a better life, I'm all for it. Thank you.
That was the voice of Lenaya Moore. Now I'll translate. La señora Lenaya Moore dice, yo he sido parte de este sector de trabajo por más de 30 años y ya no lo reconozco. Mucho ha cambiado. La lucha que muchos de nosotros del sector de cuidar de largo plazo, cuidando a personas de largo plazo, estamos luchando con 2 o 3 diferentes trabajos para poder mantener suficiente ingreso a nuestros hogares. Trabajamos sobre horas de las horas adecuadas, 50 horas. Tuve que trabajar sin poder dormir, sin poder descansar anoche. Yo tengo 60 años de edad, dice la señora Lenaya Moore, y estoy cansada. El pago es muy bajo y con alto nivel de trabajo y estrés. Yo trabajo en una casa con personas de problemas con comportamiento y es una gran pesadilla. Los padres están llorando, los trabajadores están llorando. Todos estamos trabajando más de la cuenta y sin tener el aprecio, sin tener respeto. Y ella dice, ser parte de una manifestación es algo nuevo para mí. Pero yo soy parte del sindicato 1199 y estoy aquí porque yo deseo a todos que tengan una mejor vida.
When we fight, when we fight, all right. My name is Tanisha Joyner, and I'm a caregiver for my grandmother, and she suffers cancer. She's not mobile, and I love taking care of her. I love doing everything that I can for her, and she depends on me. For the past 9 months, me and my fiance have had no place to live. We've been in cars. We've been having to spend money we don't have to live in hotels. We've had to even couch surf with family members and friends. And having no kind of PTO time, no kind of ability to even take time to yourself mentally to even process some of the things that we go through. It's not right. My grandmother depends on me. And if I'm not okay, then nobody is okay. You know what I'm saying? They look for us. They look for us. They depend on us. The state said that we are the eyes, the ears, the head, the legs, the tail, all that. My sister reminded me just the other day. Well, act like it. If you depend on us, if you know they depend on us, then you need to give us what we deserve. We need to have living wages. We need to have that PTO time. We need to be able to have retirement. I need to be able to start my family and bring a child in this world, and I'm going to show them that I stood up and I fought for everything that we deserve. They will have a pathway to a better life. We will get what we deserve, no matter what. When we fight, we shall win and break every chain of poverty.
Esa voz fue la voz de Tanisha Joyner. That was the voice of Tanisha Joyner on the stage sharing her story. Tanisha Joyner estaba hablando de su realidad en este momento. Ella es la persona principal para el cuidado de su abuela que está sufriendo de cáncer y no se puede mover y depende en todo para Tanisha a cuidarla. Y Tanisha no tiene fondos, no tiene a dónde vivir. Ella y su pareja están viviendo en carros y con lo poco de ganancias ha gastado en hoteles. También su familia, amistades han brindado un sofá para poder descansar. Ella ni ha tenido tiempo para poder reflexionar y sanarse de lo triste de lo que ha pasado en su vida y la pesadilla, porque otros dependen a que ella sea fuerte, a que ella sea los ojos, los brazos, las piernas. Ella tiene que ser fuerte para todos, pero en este momento, con el Estado hablando sobre el presupuesto, está levantando la voz, lanzando la voz, luchando para que haya un presupuesto moral. Porque cuando se une la gente gana. Y hay que romper las cadenas de opresión para tener liberación en esta vida. Y eso es lo que ella le va a contar a sus hijos, que cuando ella tenga hijos en el futuro, que cuando era necesario, levantó la voz para el bienestar del pueblo.
Over the past 3 years in terms of both addictions and mental health crises. When we talk about mental health crises, we have dozens upon dozens of children at the Children's Medical Center here in Hartford who cannot gain admission to psychiatric facilities, who desperately need care when 10 miles away in Middletown. 50% of the beds at the Solnit Center, the state's facility for children with psychiatric issues, are closed because they do not have enough staff to be able to take care of the patients. I want to bring up Brother Darnell Ford, who works for DCF in the Solnit Center, to talk about the challenges that we need to face. We must expand.
That was Rob Burrell's voice once again. Esa era la voz de Rob Burrell del sindicato 1199 diciendo de que en este momento, cuando hay una gran necesidad para asistencia médica mental, la salud mental, es cuando han cortado los recursos, han cerrado centros de servicio para que la comunidad pueda obtener servicios de salud mental, y es una tragedia en este momento. Y va a hablar ahora a un señor del sindicato 1199.
Shut down to less than 20%. There's a waiting list of over 25 young ladies waiting for these services. In a time where mental health is on the rise, where suicide is on the rise. Last young lady that I spoke to spent 2 years in her room, slightly outside in her living room, afraid, terrified, unable to have a pathway to services, afraid to go to those services. Last I talked to her, she said, "Dad, what am I going to do?" I said, "I'm not sure, but I'm here with you." She said, "I will be fine." She said, "Do you know anybody who can help? Do you know a few people?" I said, "I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people." She said, "Can you fight like you always do?" I said, "Absolutely, we can fight." So that's why I'm here. Are you here to help me fight for people like my daughter? For those girls who are waiting for those services to be restored. For all of those young ladies and those women who are waiting for those services to expand, who are vulnerable right now, do we fight for them? My inspiration today to come up and speak, I spoke to my daughter before coming. I asked her if she wanted to come up. She says, "Dad, are you doing that rally thing again?" I said, "Absolutely. 100%. She says, "You're going to get up there and fight?" I said, "Absolutely." She says, "I would love to be there. I'm not ready yet, Dad." This is a real thing, right? The anxiety is real.
El señor que acaba de hablar del sindicato 1199 también testificando directamente sobre su experiencia, y él dice que él trabaja directamente en servicios mentales, especialmente para niñas, y en su organización de nuevo cortaron servicios y ahora nomás tienen capacidad de menos de 20%, y tienen por lo menos 25 jóvenes, niñas, esperando para servicios mentales, y una de ellas es su propia hija, que durante 2 años está esperando para servicios, asistencia de salud mental, y se cierra en su cuarto y le dijo a su papá de que siga luchando como siempre para ella y para todas que necesitan asistencia. Y ella le dice: "Papá, ¿conoces a otra gente que nos pueden ayudar en esto?" Y él dice con gran felicidad: "Sí, yo conozco a muchas personas." Y para mí, yo creo, mi perspectiva está hablando de los 2,000 personas presentes durante la manifestación el 18 de mayo. Y él dice que quiere seguir luchando a que restauran los servicios, a que expanden los servicios para que puedan disminuir la ansiedad, porque en este momento los niveles de atentos de suicidio ha aumentado también. Y es importante luchar para esto. Y él dice que va a seguir luchando como siempre. Y ahora vamos a escuchar del senador de New Haven, Gary Winfield.
Because there were some people who were saying the numbers you said you were going to bring, you weren't going to bring. And as I look out here, you brought the numbers. Listen. I want any of my colleagues who are out here, who aren't on this stage, to get on the stage. I want people to see that despite what you've heard, there are people in this building who are standing with you. And they told me some of you have a bus, so we're not going to be very long. We want to make sure you know that there's support. But I want to say this. There's a lot of talk about guardrails. You know what guardrails are supposed to do? They're supposed to keep you from falling overboard. This budget that we've been playing with just lets a lot of us fall overboard, doesn't it? So we are here to tell you that we are standing in support of the work you're doing. We believe that when people go into our classrooms to help our children, we don't want those people to be sick. We don't want those people to be worried about whether or not they can make their bills. We want those people to be as healthy as they can be in every way possible. That budget that we have doesn't currently do that, and so we're going to fight for that. We want you to know that when they talk about higher education in this state and the opportunity for people, and the fact that we now have opportunity for people we didn't used to have opportunity for, now is not the time to cut a higher education. We want you to know that the people here are a little different than some of our colleagues, and that we've experienced the same thing you experienced. We want you to know that we don't, it doesn't even matter. By the way, let me just say this.
El Senador Winfield, that was the voice of Senator Gary Winfield.
You said you were going to
Senator
bring,
for New Haven.
you weren't going to.
And so Senator Winfield, él dice, quiero que reconozcan que hay gente que está contigo, con ustedes en el estado. No todos los legisladores somos igual. Aquí tienen gente que han pasado por las mismas experiencias que ustedes han pasado. Y él está parado en el escenario con 3 legisladores más en el momento. Y están hablando de que el tope de gasto, el spending cap, es una barandilla para protección, para que uno no se cae de la montaña. Una barandilla para protección, pero las barandillas deben de ser para protección. Y aquí yo veo mucha gente que se están cayendo y no está protegiendo el tope de gastos. Es importante que demos suficientes fondos para mantener la salud comunitaria y no queremos a que haya estudiantes sufriendo en su salud y en los salones de clase. Queremos que haya suficientes fondos para mantener la salud de la comunidad, fondos para mantener las universidades abiertas, porque este no es el momento de cerrar las puertas de las universidades cuando se acaban de abrir las puertas por la primera vez, otorgando oportunidades para poblaciones que no han dado oportunidades para ellos antes. Ahora no es el tiempo para cortar los fondos a las universidades. Y cuando se cortó, lo que Senator Winfield también dijo es de que es importante reconocer algo. La clave no es necesario a que los legisladores, los elegidos en la política, tengan la misma experiencia de uno. Lo único que ellos necesitan hacer es escuchar a la gente y de ahí tomar acción de acuerdo con los deseos de nuestra comunidad. Nomás tienen que saber cómo escuchar para brindar los servicios adecuados a nuestras comunidades.
To listen to the people with the problem. You don't have to live it, you have to listen.
And then fix it.
And then fix it. There you go. So what we are going to do is we are going to go back in that building because we have listened and say we have to fix it. Pastor Wade said that what we do is we tell you maybe tomorrow. That's not what we tell you. Let's have an honest conversation about what we tell you. It is never the time to raise taxes on the wealthy. That's what we tell you. But let me tell you something different. It has always been the time to make sure that we all pay our fair share. It has always been the time to take care of the people who have taken care of us. So, we're going to go back in that building. We're going to do our part. And thank you for coming out here, because when you fight and when we fight, we all win. When you fight, when we fight together, we all win. Thank you.
Y la voz del senador Gary Winfield, él dice de que siempre dicen en la Casa Estatal, no, ahora no es el tiempo para aumentar los impuestos a la gente rica. Pero él dice, ¿cuándo es el tiempo para que todos paguen el nivel igual en los impuestos? Y el punto de vista del senador Gary Winfield, si se recuerdan, la semana pasada descubrimos que la gente con bajo ingreso de 40,000 o menos aquí en el estado de Connecticut está pagando más, casi 26% de sus ingresos para impuestos. Y los ricos de 8 punto algo billones pagan menos de 7%. Entonces sí, es la hora de equidad en quienes pagan impuestos y quienes no. Y él dice, cuando la gente se une a luchar y la gente está luchando, los legisladores acompañando a la comunidad están luchando también, y juntos se va a ganar una equidad en el presupuesto. Y con eso se nos terminó el tiempo. Estamos pidiendo a quienes están escuchando que llamen ahora a el orador de la casa, House Speaker Matt Ritter. Folks are asking if this moved you in any way. Now is the time to speak to Speaker of the House Matt Ritter, is what the manifestation makers have asked, along with Senate President Martin Looney and along with Governor Lamont's office. And this is what Husky for Immigrants and Recovery for All, SEIU 1199. And on Wednesday noon, there's going to be a solidarity movement where people are invited to go to the South Lawn in the Capitol Wednesday at noon in solidarity with all of the home care workers, domestic workers, low-wage workers, asking for a livable wage in the state of Connecticut, asking for Husky for Immigrants in the state of Connecticut. If you are in solidarity, they're looking to meet you Wednesday noon in South Lawn Capitol in Hartford. Hay una gran invitación para la comunidad que esté presente el miércoles a las 12 de la tarde en solidaridad con los trabajadores, con los inmigrantes, buscando seguro médico, con las escuelas, en frente del Capitolio, en la parte sur, South Lawn del Capitolio. Y con eso me despido. Gracias por su atención y por compartir este video tan importante en nuestra historia aquí en Connecticut para igualdad de todos, incluyendo las personas negras, latinas, personas blancas de bajo ingreso, nuestros inmigrantes. Todos somos seres humanos y merecemos un mundo más justo y más gentil. And so with that, our time is short. And thank you for your attention, for sharing this video with folks. and look forward to seeing you on Wednesday if possible. And just thank you for being part of co-creating a kinder and more just world. And I point you to Connecticut Mirror, an article today indicating how suicide rates have risen in Connecticut higher than pre-COVID days. And all of the ways in which disparities have only grown in the inner cities, affecting disproportionately BIPOC folks, low-income folks in the state of Connecticut. That the pandemic, we're still reeling from the effects. Go look at the Connecticut Mirror article today. If you don't believe me, look at their stats. But I appreciate you listening to our show, and we'll see you next time. Y como siempre, gracias a William también por ser nuestro gran productor. Hasta próxima.